Good morning, good evening. We did a wonderful Reiki seminar in Indore last week, and that's why I couldn't have the Sunday talk. And Rajni Auntie organized it. It was just so beautiful and so blissful. Okay, good to have you here, Vinita.
Good morning. I've been missing everyone so much,
I know.
but
It's okay.
thank you.
But it's like this only, and that's exactly the topic. And I know the reason why I chose this topic. But I saw your Instagram post much later after I had shared the topic, and you had the same lines in a different quote, like the same quote in a different background. But yeah, we miss you. But the thing is that I understand that everybody's lives are like that nowadays, including mine. So whoever can join in whenever, it's just perfect.
But it's just seeing you actually. I think personally, I'm saying it just gives me a lot of energy and that connection for over a decade. It's like a therapy for me to just see you around. But yes, it's just such a profound topic, and I'm so glad that you nudged me that, and I'm already feeling better after I got your message. And so for me, my learning with you, and it's always been like that everything finally falls in place. We just have to live with that faith that there is a reason why it is happening, and everything is not under our control. And getting attached, I think, creates a lot of what I should say, it doesn't let us lead a life of expanse. I have personally felt that, it has given me a lot of freedom since the time, these little nuggets that I've learned from you, and I'm still learning that, and neither to the outcome of a high in a life, or, times when the waters are low and you just kind of get into the undercurrent of it. But still, we just know it that there is another day, there's something new which is coming up, there is a learning out of that. And earlier, I never understood the meaning of detachment. I always thought that, you're going to be cutting cords and things would be like, it just felt very insecure. But now I think it gives me a lot of grounding when over the years that I've understood and I have experienced it in my life also. It doesn't let me get into the mode of fear anymore. I've just started to live in the faith rather than being into the doldrums of what if, what will happen, will that come out good or not. And I think it's a perfect topic for each one of us to actually practice it. Just not hearing it, but feeling it in our life and experiencing it. I think it just makes a lot of difference, Vivi. And thank you so much for being right there. And when I need you the most, you're right there to nudge me. And
Yeah.
thank you, Nudge.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinita. So, when we talk about the word detachment, I think attachments are the thing that cause maximum suffering. And I'm sure all of us will agree to that. Attachments to things, to people, to places, and then feeling that, oh, this place does not belong to me, or this person does not belong to me anymore, or I don't have the same kind of place in this person's life, is what causes maximum suffering, if we may say, in our lives, isn't it? I'm sure you all agree to that. But what actually is detachment? And there are two things why I was prompted to take up this topic. Firstly, I visited Indore, like I mentioned last week, and we went to Ujjain, to the Mahakal temple. And there's a beautiful Bhasma Aarti that they do at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you have to go there at 2 o'clock at night, stand in the queue or wait in the queue till the time the doors are opened. Then you sit there for about 2.5 hours, nearly, I think, not 2.5 hours, nearly 3 hours. They sort of do the Shinghar, the Abhishek on the entire Shivling. And it's like done with so much creativity, so much love. I mean, I would encourage all of you who haven't seen it to at least see it on YouTube. And they take 3 hours to do the Abhishek. And it's not easy going, because firstly you have to get up at 1, reach there at 2. And for those of us who are not sort of comfortable, we all have to wear saris. So we had so many blocks in our mind that, oh, who will get up at 1 o'clock and drape a sari? We've got out of practice, it was already fading away, but the COVID just pushed it aside because it was just track pants and shirts, and that's what life had become. Anyway, we chose to do that. And I mean, I don't have words to thank the universe for putting me there. The energy in that place was just miraculous. And once they do the Abhishek, which takes about 3 hours, they do the Aarti, and then there's a particular point where somebody comes from a shamshan, from a cremation ground, and he sprinkles bhasm over it, which of course women are not supposed to see, and they just cover their eyes and all that. But what happens is when you see that energy and they do that Aarti for 3 hours, you're worshipping one deity, and they do that with all that love. There's so many pandits and so many people in there doing it. And actually, when you finish, the Aarti finishes around 7. And the moment you stand up and you're leaving that hall, the hall where you watch the whole Shinghar, they actually wipe that whole thing clear. They actually wipe that whole thing clear. I mean, we would think that, now that whole Shivling has been, the Abhishek has been done and it is so beautiful. But within 5 minutes, or not even 5 minutes, they just wash it all away. And the message that I really got was 2 messages. And we discussed it on our way back, that firstly, we have to understand that nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. As beautiful, the kind of devotion, the kind of energy, what all goes into it, nothing is permanent. It's all passing. As beautiful as it might be, or as raw and, naked as it might be. Then they start the Shingar again, and then people visit. People just come through the day and they visit the beautiful Shivling, and they decorate it very beautifully. Then another Abhishek is done at 4 and at 7 and so on through the day. But the morning one is which they say is the most powerful, to be witnessing and sitting in that energy. Though I feel anytime visiting it and sitting there is so powerful. And secondly, that, we don't need to be attached to anything. Otherwise, if you're so attached to that beautiful, especially those who have set it up, if you're so attached and we want it to be just put on there and stay there, then it's like we are getting attached to that, isn't it? So it was such a powerful message that just enjoy the beauty, the creativity, the presence, the essence, the power, the blessings of that time that you're watching the Abhishek, you're watching the prayers, and then just move on, Don't attach or hold on to even an experience in that way. Like even while I'm quoting it, I'm feeling that energy within me, but that's just fine. One doesn't need to be attached to this, to anything for that matter. And how liberating and freeing is it, isn't it? Firstly, you open up your life to so much more than just going back to that same thing. I remember as a child, every summer we used to go for our holidays to Shimla. It was like fixed. Every summer you're going to go for 5 days to Shimla, go to Narkanda, Naldera, two, 3 visiting sites, and come back. And after about 5-6 years, my sister and I really revolted that we don't want to go there. We want to go to a new place. But how with conditioning we live with those things, that is just something which has become a comfort zone. That is where we have to go. And that is the best. Yes, so for that time, that is the best. But do you see how we limit ourselves with these conditioning things and we make those a comfort zone? I'm sure there are better or even bigger experiences that one would experience beyond what I experienced last week. And one has to be open to that. But if we just attach ourselves to anything, then we are so greatly limiting ourselves, and we stop life from, or we stop ourselves from seeing what are the other things that life is offering us. So whenever we feel particularly attached to anything, stepping out of that zone is probably the most uncomfortable. And it's not uncomfortable because of anything else, but I feel the most important thing that makes us comfortable in that is because it becomes a habit. It totally becomes a habit to be in that comfort zone, and we don't have to make a kind of extra effort to look into something diverse or to open up to something diverse. And we feel very safe. We come back to that point of feeling safe and comfortable in this setup, in this environment, with these people, and we don't allow ourselves to grow. Life is offering so much more. So many more things are being offered by life, but we don't allow ourselves to go there. And we only put those blinkers, and then we only complain. We only complain that life is not opening up avenues for me, not allowing me to go ahead. But am I making the effort to look beyond my comfort zone? Because that is detachment. Breaking out of my comfort zone is detachment. And that is something that, even when Vanita opened the session today, and she's not been here for a couple of months, we don't need to get attached to anybody. Everyone's presence is so wonderful and powerful. But like, if last week I could not hold a session, it was absolutely okay. It's okay. We put on we shared an old video, just because we have a habit of connecting at 10:30 and listening. And of course, these are words of wisdom that we all share with each other. We grow with each other. We learn from each other. There was something else that was posted, and that was equally appreciated. Yes, it was not a live session, but then it's okay. So if I am there, or Vinita is there, or Srishti Tanvi, I mean, it's just fine. Whoever can be present, enjoy that moment with whatever you have fully. Don't attach yourself to it in such a way where tomorrow, if it is not there, we are miserable. Because by being miserable tomorrow, when that particular situation or event is not there, it just becomes a way of, firstly blocking ourselves from moving ahead, and also disrespecting what we truly enjoyed. A lot of times we feel that, oh, I was so attached to this person, and uh, he or she has passed away, my parents or grandparents. I mean, they're aging, it's their age to move on in life. And we feel we just totally lose ourselves in that loss. And in that, by doing that, we actually disregard the 40, 50, 60, 70 years that we have spent with them, isn't it? Because now we are miserable. Would our parents want to see us miserable? Or would they want to see us happy? Because they have raised us to be these joyous little children. And so we pass that on to our children also, isn't it? But that is detachment. And yet you will always be attached. Even when Vinita mentioned about cutting cords, and that's a process that I guide everybody into. We're not in any which way disconnecting from that person's energy. We're only disconnecting from the space where, you are sapping each other's energy, isn't it? And that does not mean that, you have to always hound the other person or be into the energy zone of the other person. It's absolutely okay to allow that space. And we should learn to develop that from the time that we come into that awareness. Why do we want to impose ourselves in others lives or with other people? Why do we want to do that? That is only, entering into a zone which is not where you're not comfortable and the other person is not comfortable. So step away. But that thing inside, because we are so deeply attached, we have that habit of, eating, sleeping, breathing, everything with the energy of the other person. And so it begins to be uncomfortable. But that is a foundation, that is putting yourself in a prison, as comfortable and as easy as it might be. Step out of that and see how liberated and how free and how much more you can get from life in that way. Is it making sense?
Perfect sense. It's also a lot of learning. That's what I've realized. Once we step out of the comfort zone, there's always something new that we're experiencing or we are learning new. And then, of course, gradually we forget or move on to the next step of life. Like even if we are doing our practices for that matter, it's quite a push for us to do it. I mean, since you're going for a Reiki thing, so then we'll have to practice it for that number of days. That's like we are coming out of the comfort zone initially, but then when it gets into a practice, then you just can't do without it. So then you realize, acha, was I resisting it? So
Yeah, but with the practice, it becomes like it's always elevating you to the next point.
correct,
That's why when
correct.
people come to me and say, oh, I'm not able to do my full body Reiki with the 26 points now, I've been doing it for so many years. It's okay. If you can do it, it's wonderful. But if you can't do it, still stay tuned in and do it to the level that you can, and allow other things to, it's all the same energy. Open yourself to more, but be honest to yourself that you're doing your practice to whatever level, because each step is going to make you grow. So you don't have to, if you can't lie down for that 1 hour, 20 minutes and place your hands on 26 points, it's fine. Stay connected. Just sit, meditate, invoke the Reiki energy and expand yourself. And that's really breaking out of structures. But someone like today, if I have a Reiki seminar and I'm going to be attuning many people today, I will tell them that for the next 21 days, make this a routine and make it a routine to make it a part of your life so that you can grow with it. So we have to exercise our discretion in that way, where we need to apply it and where we need to not apply it. But the more important thing is to open ourselves. And whenever we are feeling miserable, whenever we are feeling put down, whenever we are feeling, say, absolutely broken, heartbroken because a relationship has ended or somebody has moved on or things are not working out in the way that you wanted to, or you've been working for so many years and now you can't work up to that level, you don't have to beat yourself up. It's just growth. It's just life happening. So just allow things to happen in the way, just ease up. Don't get attached to the past. Attachments are only things that are there from the past. You have to break out of that. And how do you do that? Firstly, by understanding that things are still happening. If I'm not here, somebody else will be sharing a talk or a discourse. If Vinita is not here, Srishti will take on the lead. If she's not there, Tanvi, somebody will take it on. It's apps. Life will go on. Nothing stops. So ease up. Don't get so attached. Oh my God, how am I going to do it? She's not here. Those are things that we feel in our initial stages, especially when we are getting into a spiritual practice, that we always need that hand holding, which is fine. But beyond a point, it's like you have to let go. And a lot of people, a lot of women, suffer because they've really had nothing else to do in their lives except look after their family and their children and serve their in-laws and their husbands and all, which is fine to do, but choose something for yourself. Make a place for yourself. We lose our identity in all this because our identity just becomes this, which is absolutely fine. It's a part of your life where you need to dedicate your life totally to your children, to your family, but still make place for yourself. Keep a little window open for yourself, because when the children are ready to go or to move on in their lives, you fall into that vacuum and you don't know what to do. It is so difficult to detach from those children. You want the children to move on, you want them to go abroad and study, you want them to get married and move on, but it is so painful for you inside. And actually, again, I just come back to one thing, because I feel this is a lesson for all of us, most of us listening to this, that by doing that, by getting into that fear, we are actually disregarding or disrespecting that relationship that we had with those children, or because nothing is permanent. We started by sharing that nothing is permanent. And when we impose too much into that, when we put all our eggs in that basket, it's definitely going to backfire, isn't it? So open yourselves always in life. And one of the reasons why I feel, getting yourself into a spiritual practice along with, at a time when you have so many other things to do, is very good, because then by the time you come into that age where you have so much time on you, you're already grounded into that. Whereas now starting at this age with some spiritual practice becomes very difficult. But truly, COVID pushed a lot of us into it, because we had nothing else to do but to sit and pray and meditate. And that opened up so much, but we don't need a COVID to push us into that, isn't it? So just stop all that. When we talk about decluttering, when we talk about hoarding, all that is only because we feel insecure when we give away things, or things that we feel we really need to hold on to. I mean, lighten up in every which way, and see how the universe rewards you, how the universe fills up everything, whichever aspect of your life you want. Just empty yourself in that aspect and see how much more you are rewarded in that field, by the universe, not by anybody else. And hence you remember that practice. A lot of you remember it, that I learned many years back, that even at the end of a seminar, we used to bow and put our forehead to the ground, and we used to say, Tera Tujhko Arpan. My teacher Rohini taught me that. Just say Tera Tujhko Arpan, meaning yours back to you. So actually, if you've imbibed a lot of knowledge and wisdom through the seminar, through a retreat, you empty it and you give it back to the source. It's only when you empty it that you can get more, isn't it? It's only when you empty yourself that you can receive more. So very important to do that. And a lot of times we keep things because we feel, oh, this is something that was given to me by so-and-so so many years back. It holds an emotional or a sentimental value. Yes, that's fine. But if you really feel that it's not going to be useful for you and it will help or be useful for somebody else, learn to give it away. Learn to give it away. And see how expanded you feel in your heart when you do that. Because you have to be really open, and you also have to understand that, okay, this is something that you are holding on to. You are holding on to because you have an emotional kind of attachment, and we all have to those things. And sometimes we don't even know where those things are lying. It's just like clutter lying in one corner of the room. And in fact, we were talking about crystals last week, and we were saying that when we have a temple and we have deities in that temple, we clean the temple regularly, isn't it? We shuffle that energy. In the same way, when it is things in your home or crystals, everything carries energy. And if you just keep it stagnant in one corner without, moving it, sometimes they are heavy things which can't be moved. It's important to move and shuffle the energy, because it's only when you move the things that the energy begins to circulate. And same for you, same for your life. So don't be fearful when life is putting you into something new, or life is asking you to leave an old place, step into a new place, or get into something new and diverse. That opens up your creative side. That's such a strong therapy for each one of us. So don't be scared. Yes, fear does come in because you're walking on the path which is not something which is familiar to you. And we wonder, how is it going to happen? But know that the universe will make it happen, because the universe has put it in your lap. And the universe measures exactly and puts in your lap what you can handle. You'll never be given anything that you cannot handle. If you feel you cannot handle, the universe is pushing you to upgrade yourself. And you have all the means to do that. So never think that, yeah, I cannot move ahead, or I'm failing, I cannot do this, take it on further. Every time I climb up 2 steps, I'm pushed down, I fall down. But it's okay. It's only because you're learning to walk and run. That same example of the small child who's just learning to walk, she falls every minute. She takes 2 steps and falls, takes 2 steps and falls. You can't tell the child, don't do that. Don't try to walk because you're going to be falling. That's not failure. Learn to pick yourself up and walk. And suddenly next day you see that the child has taken 10 steps and 20 steps. And before you know, they're running all over the house. But they have to fall to get that balance. Similarly for us, we have to go through some downfalls or some painful moments, but that does not mean that you sit back and you don't break out of your comfort zone, isn't it? And if that means leaving some things that you're familiar with or you're too attached with, it's okay. Ask for the courage, pray for the courage to be able to deal with it. Any thoughts? I would love to hear from you. Monica? I have to
It's
hear your voice today.
very, it's very interesting that you're saying all this, because I've been having this entire conversation in my head for the last 2 days. So yeah, I completely resonate with what you're saying, Sujata. Uh, and today morning also, when I was just thinking, I was really fretting that I was not going to be able to make it to today's workshop, and I was talking to you about it. And then when I was on my Facebook account, this one thing popped up on my screen, which I then shared with everyone. So yeah, I think that just to not be obsessed with something, or just to not let oneself get in caught up with that emotion. It's okay, the emotion will come. You don't have to fight it, but you don't have to hold on to it either.
Yeah. And you don't have to beat yourself up. Like you said, you didn't even go to meet your father just because you thought you would be coming here this weekend, but somehow you couldn't, and as much as I would have loved to see you and have you in the Reiki class, it felt okay. I mean, it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And that's the acceptance that we need to come into.
Yes,
Isn't it?
yes.
And it's really never a loss. We feel, oh, I lost something or I couldn't. No, that's not true. It's fine. It's just how it is meant to be. And as much reasoning as you will give it, yeah, maybe I'll come another time, maybe this, that. It's okay. We don't need to give reasonings anymore. Don't put those band-aids. Don't try to pacify each other and your mind by saying, okay, there's something better here. That now stop all that. Just know it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. Full stop.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's such a liberating way to be. Otherwise,
Yes,
you
it is, because otherwise, you just keep self bashing yourself, and you, by the end of it, it makes you feel so guilty that you're like, I needed to do this, I made a commitment to do this, and I wasn't able to do it. So in that entire process of taking your thoughts in that direction, you end up with a lot of self bashing and a lot of guilt. But when you're able to just accept it for what it is, it just ends there. There is no self bashing, there's definitely no guilt.
Hmm.
And it's just like, okay, I tried my best, but it didn't happen, maybe it was not meant to be. That's it.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. It's not even maybe it was not meant to happen. It was not meant to happen. And the other thing, when I started and I was mentioning that um, when we talk about detachment, and the statement was really powerful, that detachment does not mean that you own nothing, it means that nothing owns you. It's a very powerful statement. Detachment does not mean that you own nothing, because we usually feel detachment is that I have nothing with me. It means that nothing owns you. And how liberating is that? Just how liberating is that? Otherwise, this person pulled me here. She said, you do this. So I did that. Now the other person is pressed one trigger. So I'm now feeling angry because every time this person speaks to me, she makes me angry. Now the third person has come in and now they want me to do this. So it's like you're being pulled in all direction. Everybody owns you, isn't it? But step up, take that remote control back. I remember, this example that you feel as if, this person, say a parent speaks to me and he always just presses this button and I just feel so humiliated and so put down. And then my friend does this. And whenever she says this, I feel so angry. Then my boss does this or my teacher does this. I mean, come on, take that remote control back. Don't let everybody keep pressing buttons. This is the hurt button. This is the pain button. This is the anger button. Take that remote control back and come into your own power. Come into your own power. Nobody can own you. Get your strength, get your confidence, get your self-esteem and say that, okay, I'm not going to be thrown this way or that way. If I choose to be there, I'll be there. If I don't choose to be there, I may not be there. And yes, sometimes we may need to do things or be in environments, but you cannot allow it to dictate how you feel or particularly the emotions that you feel. Take control of that. Full control has to be only with you.
Yeah, and I think, since I've started working with you all those years back, that one statement that has really stuck to me is, take your remote control back. It's like, now also, I think subconsciously, if there are friends talking about something, or ye nahi ho raha, this one's doing this, my first question is, kab diya tha? They're like, yeah, I said remote control kab diya tha. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice way. Rima, would you just like to ask your question? It's difficult to read, but it would be nice if you just spoke up.
Hello.
Yeah, share, Rima. It would be good for you to share. Just, it's like really vomiting it out. And I'm so happy that you're opening up and sharing, Don't take it personally. We all have these things and you're speaking for so many more. So just go ahead and share.
I'm just feeling attached to two people, and it's been like 2 months. And there are times when when I come back from work, mentally, I do have some memories of the past. And at that time, I felt it was a very nurturing relationship. But suddenly, there was a misunderstanding, and they blocked me out of their phone. And I know those people since 6 years, but I've not been able to get over with them. So that's like really bothering me. And when now I started, okay, let me move on in life and be open to more proposals. There are like two profiles that I like, but somehow I'm like so caught up. Like last class you said, forget about the past and there is no future, be in present. So yesterday that tool really helped me. Whenever my mind was going haywire, I used to tell myself, okay, come back, this is what it is, you are breathing right now. But somehow I'm like really fighting for it. It's not very smooth. That's my feeling.
Absolutely. We've all gone through it. Many of us still go through it. So you're absolutely justified in what you're saying. But then you also have to understand that, firstly, come into a space of respecting yourself. You've become habituated to those people. You feel comfortable with them and their energy around, but probably they don't feel so. And that has nothing to do with you. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's just their resonance. You don't have to put yourself down in that aspect. And you don't have to make yourself miserable because you are not able to connect to them, or they've blocked you for whatever reasons. They have their own reasons, and they would have their own valid reasons. We don't want to go into that. We don't want to put ourselves down, but you come into a space of self-preservation. You come into a space of respecting yourself. If somebody is doesn't want to speak to you or has blocked you, let's get that message nice and clear. Why would anybody want to block you? Why would you block anybody? Because you don't want to be connected to them beyond the point, isn't it? For whatever reasons, and your reasons are justified to you. Of course, it makes you feel bad and the other person also somewhere feel bad. But then understand that those are healthy boundaries that you need to build. And sometimes if you are too much into the other person's energy, and they may not be welcoming it, so they will obviously block you beyond a point for whatever reasons. I mean, it's stupidity at this age and time to block anybody. It would just say that just ignore it, just ignore it. And why do I want the other person to feel bad? It's best just to ignore it, and the other person will get the message loud and clear. And
And
the
I
reason
worked
that they
with
would
them
block
also.
is because they don't want to be answerable, in some ways. But that's not really needed. But this is for you to learn and grow, Rima. This is for you to learn and grow, that you don't have to feel humiliated and put down. Whatever was in the past, whatever 6 years you enjoyed with them, cherish that. They have ruined those 6 years by blocking you. You don't do that. You value that relationship in terms of not the relationship with that, or with those two people. You cherish the fact that you had a good relationship and you enjoyed friendship or whatever it is that you shared with these people. You enjoyed that emotion, you enjoyed that happiness, and it doesn't need to be coming from the same people again and again. Somebody new will 100% come into your life. Just be patient with yourself and get out of that desperation. Get out of that neediness. First, confirm yourself. A lot of times we feel, oh, when we get married, it's like the other person is going to complete you. That's a very, very, I feel that's a misconception, because the other person, if they are two incomplete people, nobody can complete you. So healthy marriages or healthy relationships, healthy friendships, not only marriages, only come when there are two people who are whole and complete, and they complement, support each other. If you are needy and the other person is needy, you're always looking at each other to, fulfill that need of yours.
Yeah, and
What is
the
there
two
to offer?
profiles that I saw, I don't know why, but my inner gut is saying that it's going to be the persons I met. I mean, it was like emotional neediness, probably. And I was surprised. Like, I took so many years to move on to say, "Ki, okay, let me start, thinking of resettling." And those people, when I spoke to them, they have lost their spouses probably in COVID and family members. And I was just questioning myself. It took me 11 years and they're ready to move on in 2 years. I'm so slow. I mean, I was just like talking to my friend, and she was like, it's okay. You are what you are. So that was it.
Yeah, and it's absolutely okay. That's what shows you the diversity of everybody. The people feel differently, and if they are, they felt the need for that earlier, it's fine. So stop these comparisons. Just know everybody is ready at their own times. It's perfect for each one of us. It's just perfect for each one of us. So yes, do a little cutting cord with them. Open yourself to new things and try to find a newness in life. Try to bring in new energies. Try to fill yourself up in. See, the thing is, when we go into a relationship, what is it that we want out of that relationship? We're looking for what? We're looking for happiness. We're looking for peace. We're looking for companionship. What is that companionship going to give you? Happiness, joy, isn't it? Is it necessary that it only has to come through one avenue? Yes, this particular person, this particular situation has become very familiar. And the moment I connect to it, it gives me that happiness and joy, because it, raises that joy hormone in my body, because we are familiar. We just fall into, it's like the pieces of the puzzle just fall in together. But for some reason, if, you have grown, your energy has grown, or the other person's energy has grown, that you cannot fit in so easily as you used to, it's fine. Grow yourself to that level where firstly you find that joy and happiness with yourself, with so many other things in your life. Because if you don't look, you will not see them. You only slip into this comfort zone that, yeah, when this child is around me, I just feel so happy. But let's grow out and see that happiness can come through just going out and, some feeding some children on the street. You'll still get that happiness. But why do I have to have just my children, my partner, my husband, my wife, we have to drop the my, just open your hearts and share your love with everybody, and you will see how much you will receive. But we limit it to the 4, 5, 6 people in our family or our closest blood relationships. No, break out of this, break free from this. Everybody, look at everybody as one. Just look at everybody as one. And everybody can give you and make you feel that love that you hold within you, because at the core, we are all one. At the core, we are all one. Let's learn to live out of our hearts rather than our heads. Don't think everybody's cheating on you. Don't think people are here. Don't feel threatened in life. Break out from that ego mind. Yes, Rima?
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And it takes a lot of courage to even share these things. If you feel that judgment when you say these things, but yes, I feel attached to these people. I miss them. Of course you miss them. Like Monica said, of course you feel that emotion, but don't feel hurt. When hurt comes in, step back and feel that emotion that you're feeling fully. Hurt only comes when you put yourself down, that I'm not getting what I want or somebody has put you down. Instead, just feel the emotion that you're missing that love that you want and pray to God to give you that love from wherever it needs to come. From wherever it needs to come. And you will see that so many opportunities will open up. Forget about this profile or that profile. Just become that light, joyous person and see how much will fall into your lap. Just go out, do things for people who you don't know. Because they will not acknowledge to that level. Only your ego wants that acknowledgement, na? So she did this, he did. Just go out and do things randomly. Don't need to share those things with anybody. Offer, give back to society. In so many ways, you can do that. People do that by sharing with animals. Nowadays, they say do things for birds, put water out. I mean, simple things that you're doing for somebody and knowing that somebody will benefit from this. It doesn't just make it very anonymous. You don't have to always declare and do these things. And see the expansion that comes into your heart. See the openness that comes in. See the love that you become, the love that you truly are. And then start radiating that love. It is so infectious. It is so seductive, if I may use that word, that people will be drawn to you. Forget about 1 or 2 profiles. You won't know how to handle the profiles.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So whenever you feel yourself getting drawn into anything, anything, even if it is like, I remember there was a time when it used to be like 4 o'clock in the evening and I needed tea. Come what may. My relatives used to joke with me, "Kiski to ghanti baj gayi andar se." Even if I don't have a watch, I know that it is 5 to 4 or 5 past 4. It cannot be more than that. That is an attachment, no? And if I didn't have tea, I would get a migraine headache. And that migraine headache actually pushed me to learn Reiki. So, and when I did EFT, I started just tapping. One day we were somewhere traveling and I knew that at that time we couldn't stop for tea. And I just started tapping. I just started tapping to release that. It's just a reaction that your body starts to give because it is addicted to that, isn't it? And we fall into addictions, and addictions are only there to make us feel more safe and secure. That's why we don't move ahead, or it's difficult for us to break through addictions, because it just becomes a comfort zone. And believe me, like, it just doesn't, you just break out of it. Even things like, 57 years of my life, I never had coffee. Again, I used to think the smell of coffee gives me a migraine. And last summer, when I was in the US, I stayed with a family, a very, very close friend, and her son, who was just so lovable, young teenager. He was so excited about a coffee machine that he had got into the house. And he would so lovingly say, "Auntie, can I make coffee for you?" He was so excited. And I didn't have the heart to say no. Believe me, from that summer to this summer, I've had no migraines with the coffee, and I've just got again so comfortable drinking coffee. Otherwise, I thought I could never do it all my life. These are just thoughts that we get attached to. And that's how we, take ourselves to that. And I always tell him that, wow, Shan, you opened up this whole new avenue for me. I never tasted coffee before. And now I just love it.
I'll also have to get over with that tea thing, because when I come back from school 4:30, bang on, it's my time to have
Exactly.
tea.
Because I used to come from college. Our college used to finish at 3:30, 4. We used to just come home, and the moment like 4:30 you enter home, everybody would be having tea. So we never used to have lunch. We used to just go, and that just became a way of being. But actually, we just, once we just, open ourselves, there's so much more that begins to happen, and so much more that life starts to offer us. So it's okay. You don't give up your tea. That's not one thing which I'm ever going to give up. But open yourself to other things also. Don't. Whenever you feel yourself getting too attached to anything, just be aware, because it shouldn't get the better of you. That I have to stop the whole, group together because we have to find a tea point somewhere where we can stop and have tea. No, we don't want to cause that inconvenience. Let's be able to, mold our body also that way, and it begins to happen. It absolutely begins to happen. There are a lot of times in life where things cannot be provided for you in the way that you want at that time. So just know that it's not time, and at the right time it will be presented to you.
Fine.
Yeah, so break out of these small habits and then applaud yourself for that. Wow, I could break through this. Just applaud yourself for that. That, this is something which was getting the better of me. Imagine that cup of tea can make you go into a spiral headache, and then you're down for the next 2 days. Don't give it that power.
Okay.
Like they say, when you have that word habit, it's very difficult to give up habits. You remove the H, what remains? A bit.
A bit, yeah.
Remove the A, what remains? Bit. You remove the B, what remains? It. You remove the I, what remains? The T still remains.
God,
It's
that's a
not.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just remember these small things, and like anything that is confining you in life, anything that is confining you in life is telling you to, now step out, because you're limiting yourself. Life has so much to offer. So much to offer. And it does not need you to be, breaking boundaries and traveling and this and that. No, just in your own space, just in your own surroundings, there is so much that life is offering. But we have those blinkers, like the blinkers on a horse's face, that you cannot see beyond this. So now drop those blinkers, drop those attachments, and make it an effort, even if it is a little, it's a little uncomfortable. Let it squeeze you, let life squeeze you through that. Take it on yourself that I'm going to break through this habit, because I don't want to be doing this. And we
Okay.
know that these are the most difficult things. How attached we are to our bed, to our sleep in the morning. We don't feel like getting up and going for a walk. How much our mind tells us it's okay. At night you'll think, no, I have to get up. I have to go for a walk in the morning. I haven't gone for 1 week. Then in the morning it'll be, oh, but I have a seminar today. I have so much work to do. But if you really take out the time and you know that this is something that you need to build upon, and you break that, how happy you feel, isn't it?
Yes.
Of us feel it with exercise in the morning, yoga class. Okay, I'll miss it today. But just break out of that comfort zone and see how wonderful it makes you feel. And then actually that morning walk becomes a habit. But you know that is giving you so much more. You're connecting to nature, you're breathing fresh air, it's helping your body. There's so much more. So these are the things that we need to do and build upon.
Yeah.
They break through those habits or those attachments that are making you feel disempowered. You feel, oh, I just cannot live without it. There's nothing that you can't live without except your breath.
Yeah.
Everything else you can live without. There are people who haven't eaten for days or haven't had water for days. The body has so much power. But yes, the moment your breath stops, then you're gone, isn't it? You're not
Yeah.
really gone, moving on to the next realm. That's also fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. So don't let anything own you. Don't let anything own you. Anybody has any thoughts, any reflections? Otherwise, I would just like to close the talk today 10 minutes earlier, because I have to start my Reiki seminar. And we'll connect again next Sunday. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in and sharing your thoughts and ideas, and keep coming, keep sharing.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.